I have had just on running on fumes and some peanuts. Like,
don't you have any of that Fairlife stuff?
I do. I did not. I woke up 3 minutes before the meeting started.
Not enough time to chug a Fairlife.
Slam it! I didn't think of it.
Oh,
chug
think
that
of it
sludge.
now. Go grab that sludge.
Okay, are you yelling at me to go chug the sludge?
You should eat!
I mean, okay, fine. Be right back.
Go eat. I'm counting stitches.
Alright, when I get back, we're starting.
Okay. 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, wait, 15 is all I need. Yeah! Okay. Listeners, I'm working on a pair of hand warmers for the wonderful gay boy next door. They are in orange, pink, and purple, and I think he's gonna fucking love them. But they're much smaller than me. He is a much smaller person than I am, being a teen. So I have to sort of eyeball the size. I try to put them on to test them. We'll just stretch them out. Anyway, don't tell him I'm making him these. These might, he'll ruin the surprise. Just come back. You got your chocolate sludge?
I've got my sludge to chug. I brought it up. I came downstairs and Julia was like, "Are you done?" And I was like, "No." Ray yelled at me because I hadn't eaten very much. And she was like, "Good, I would have yelled at you too." Let's do our intro.
Okay. Hey, this is Bonus Experience.
We are a podcast with a deeper look at the play experience and the finer details of running and writing games.
We are queer women speaking with authority about games.
And yes, we swear.
I'm Ray. I'm industry professional.
Cool. I'm Monica. I'm also an industry professional.
Some days I feel like rattling off my CV, and sometimes I'm like, fuck it, you know who I am. It's been 4 years.
Yeah, go listen to another episode.
Go listen to another episode where I tell you exactly who I am.
Yeah.
Don't you know who I am?
Hey. So we're gonna do something a little new for season 4, which is what this episode is. We are buying independent games and reading them.
Woo!
Yeah. We really want to look at stuff by independent artists, and we're gonna read through the game, and we're gonna talk about our impressions, like what we liked, what we didn't like, what really blew us away, all our feelings, and I guess putting it up front that there's a chance that we won't like it. We will check out pretty much any suggestion, but like if we don't like it, please don't take that as like a don't ever buy this. That's not what we want at all. We would like you to monetarily support independent artists, and we will in fact make it very easy for you to click the link and buy the thing.
And in all honesty, like, we read this or at least skimmed it before getting together to record this. And if we had both determined this is garbage and neither of us like it, the episode would not exist.
Yeah, we wouldn't. it would not go through.
So there's going to be something that we like. It's not going to be it's not going to be like a pan.
Yeah,
I pan it. A critical flop.
Yeah, no. If we absolutely hated it, I don't think we would give it airtime. And this sounds like we hated it, which we didn't. We actually liked this a lot.
Yeah, I don't know why we're doing this.
I don't know. Part of me was like, I feel like we may eventually read something that we don't like, we have critiques of, or like, hey, this made me feel uncomfortable, or like, I didn't like that it dealt with these heavy things, or whatever.
Or just plain, it didn't really do it for me.
It didn't really do it for me, and what I don't want is that to make our listeners not buy something.
Yeah.
So I got anxious and then just did this whole thing, which maybe I didn't need to do.
That's okay. The beauty of recording podcasts is that we fix it in post.
We sure can fix it in post.
By which I mean Margaret can fix it in post.
Fix it in post, Margaret.
Margaret?
We encourage our listeners to go buy any game we read, check it out for themselves, and monetarily support independent artists.
Yes, please do this.
Yeah.
Please do this thing. Even if you're like, I don't know if I'll play it, but it sounds like something I want to read.
Yeah.
Or, just fucking do it. Just do it. We haven't done this episode yet, but, cultural transmission, is how the majority of games spread, word of mouth. So, we're here to help spread some of the word.
Yeah, with our mouths.
Oh boy.
Sorry I said that.
I have to sneeze, but I also have to laugh. I don't know if I should mute myself.
Did you do the thing?
I'm okay. The moment passed.
All right. If you have suggestions for a game we should talk about, join us in our Discord channel. Remember to support us and join the Patreon-only room where we take suggestions and much more. Where we take suggestions much more seriously. That's what you wrote there.
Yeah, I completely fucked up trying to explain it. Okay. Join our Discord. You can suggest games there, but if you are a patron and you suggest a game in the patron channel, we are much more likely to actually accept that suggestion because we love our patrons and we want to do the things that they tell us because they give us money.
Yes, true. What a value for $1. Anyway, our first game on listener recommendation is The Man and The Stag, which is by Beau Sheldon, who is also one of the people. Is it also Thoughty? Is their like game thing?
THOUGHTY.
Yes, Thoughty. And you can find their games on bribo.itch.io. Itch.io. I've always pronounced it itch.io, but maybe I'm wrong.
The Man and the Stag is a 2-player storytelling game. It uses a deck of cards to pace scenes and determine the theme. Players tell stories and play out scenes about the unusual the man, capitalized, who stays in their cabin in the woods and alone, except for the stag, capitalized, from the Copes, who wants to influence the world of man with magic. Whether this connection leads to a revelation or condemnation does truly depend on the cards. So what you need to play this game is, you're 2 players, obviously. A deck of cards with no jokers and no aces. A couple sheets of paper with some pencils because you'll need a map. You need to keep a list of characters and you need to start a timeline. Beau also says to use the script change RPG toolbox, was another one of Beau's. I think we covered that in our safety tools episode.
We did. We did talk about that.
Yeah. Use the script change RPG toolbox.
Yeah. It's useful if you're going to play a game that's almost entirely storytelling, too.
Yes. And then you need about 4 to 6 hours or room for 2 3-hour sessions. Unfortunately, because of time constraints, Monica and I haven't had a chance to actually play this game. Although I would love to and get fucking weird and emotional.
Maybe we can do a series where we can play some games and then ship them off to freelance Margarets as off-season content.
That's a great idea. Just bank them.
I just tapped my temple.
So what I like, first off, like right away, it hits you with the characters in this game can be either gender or any gender. Mm-hmm. Even though it's the man and the stag, they can be no gender or any gender, and they could be at any age in different spots of the timeline. The only guidelines you're given about the 2 characters right away are that the man is reserved, curious, and alone, and the stag is stark, ancient, and powerful. They have to be present, however minimally, in every scene. There's something unusual about them, and wherever they go, the stars follow. I like it.
Yeah,
I love stuff that just gives you, like, a prompt, as opposed to, like, here's a biography that you gotta work with somehow. Here's just a couple of words and a couple of prompts, and it's meant to be weird. Right away, I get, like, Great for a Spirit, we give you back your head vibes from Princess Mononoke, which, I love. I saw a tweet about it, like, literally last night, about how we've continued, like, as a Western culture to connect deer with gateways to the other world, how deer are liminal creatures for some reason. Like in horror movies and things like that, when you see a mutated deer or a mauled deer, that's when you know, like, oh shit, something's happening. Right.
I wonder if it's because deer are crepuscular.
Oh yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Just on a basic level, you only see deer at dawn or at dusk.
Right. Yeah. If a deer is out in the middle of the day, something weird is happening.
And also, deer are pretty important to functioning Western society. Like, I don't know enough about, like, Eastern ecology, but I know that deer are, like, pretty frequently hunted and ate.
Yeah, venison's really good.
Important for eating.
They are. Also, I live in a place where there's lots of fucking deer.
Yeah, I don't get. I mean, I can see it as a storyteller. Like, yes, deer, powerful, mysterious creatures. But in real life, they're like
They're in real life
rats with
they're
hooves.
like rats with hooves. Yeah, big rats with hooves.
I don't really feel a particular fondness for deer.
It's one of those things that if you live in a place where you don't see deer, seeing a deer is like, oh, it's so magical, it's beautiful. There's a comedian bit about this, right? Like you're like, we've been graced by nature. If you live in a place where deer are all the time, you're like, that's food. Also a pest.
That's a pest, and it's an edible pest.
It's an edible pest. Chase it with a stick. Like, if you grew up in Hickville, nowhere like I did, your joyriding as a teen was often punctuated by not hitting deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, which was like the deer were not fucking afraid of you. You could feed all of them from your hand. And there were plenty of times when like it got to the point where we lived, there was a family unit of deer that would just sort of appear in our yard and look at us expectantly because they knew we had apples. Just little pests. Just oh, what magical creatures. And then there was the Ron White bit about his brother-in-law bragging about what a great hunter he is, and like, oh, I was hiding in this deer and I hit it right between the eye, and Ron was like, I hit one going 40 with a van. What an elusive little creature.
Despite this brief
despite us now
about deer,
despite us talking about how much we hate deer.
The game has a very fairy tale or mythological tone to it.
Yes.
In fact, right after that bit that Ray just read that sort of describes the two characters that both people play, it talks about how one of the two characters always dies at the end of the story, or both of them, and then goes on to talk about how that's not necessarily tragic. It can be loving or exploratory or adventure or weary or just, cathartic or whatever, and that you know that this is going to end with the demise of one or both of the characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you approach that by making basically like a list of ways you want to approach that, which they call tones and themes.
Right. They basically have like the microscope palette in play, where you write down the things that you would like to focus on, but also write down the things that you want to discourage. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't want it, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want this to be like a story of grief and fear. I want this to be like a story of celebration and wonder. Then you like note that down to make sure that you can keep your shit together.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about how this is actually played?
I'm still I honestly, it's so bare bones that I had to read it a couple of times to be like, did I miss something? But it's really freeform, and it's kind of, I look at this kind of more like a toolbox than a complete game, even though there's some really beautiful prompting. Because with the map and the timeline, the map is just like mark one spot for the cabin with like a small drawing of a cabin or something, and then mark another spot somewhere else for the copse. And then anytime you add a location via your story, write down where that could be on the map with like 3 descriptive words next to it about the location. And then the timeline is just like, draw a big spiral. You're not going to worry about it until the second phase of the game. It's like, oh, all right, cool. The way you play is you have your cards shuffled, and then, you sort them into numbered cards and royal cards.
Right.
Then you split those into red and black. Then you shuffle those individual decks. The number of the card represents the intensity of the connection between the two characters and how well they understand each other. Like how raw and intense and like pure the connection is going to be in the scene. They even know this could be emotional, but it could be like the intensity of damage done or how hard something is to achieve or whatever. And then the suit represents the type of experience that will the type of scene that you're going to be having, with hearts being emotional, clubs being physical, spades being environmental, diamonds being material. The card color indicates which player describes the scene, with red for the man and black for the stag. Which obviously, if you're paying attention, that means that the stag is going to have the physical and environmental cards as the clubs and spades. And the man is going to have the hearts and diamonds, so he'll be talking about the emotional and the material.
It's clever.
At any time, a player can offer to let the other player play a card of the initiating player's color, or a player can ask to play the opposing player's card to allow a richer experience for both. This is one of the very few, optional, oh, you can mix it up.
Okay, so in our deep dive about social mechanics, we talked about storytelling games using mechanics basically to drive conversation and to create frameworks for the way you progress narratively, right? When you are looking at a storytelling game like this, you are not, obviously, you're not going to have, a complex crafting system in a game that's supposed to be about, telling a beautiful story.
Yeah.
But this game is not free of mechanics. No game is. You need them. So the mechanics here are actually focused on directing the story, and these are the phases and basically the card draw, right? So this game has 3 phases: waxing bright, full moon, and waning dark, which is basically your 3-act structure of this story you're going to tell. In the first phase, you shuffle your decks, then you pull out 3 cards, and then you set them aside. And the game actually comes with a little board you can print off where you put your cards down following these instructions. And I think that's very useful.
Yeah, I like the little play mat. That was a good inclusion.
Yeah, a little play mat. That's a good, helpful player tool. And then you discard the rest. You basically
you keep half your cards,
right,
and you just disregard the rest of them.
Right. So then you basically play through your deck by pulling the cards, and then you play through the scene, and then you pull the card, and you play through the scene, is how I'm understanding that. Does that seem right to you?
Yeah, because it looks like the phase doesn't end, or the first phase doesn't end until you reach
half of the numbered deck. Because remember, you take your face cards out, and you don't play with any ones. So you're looking at 4 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So
assuming you kept all of those in the decks that, because half of them got cut, thrown out.
Right. So you have what's left of your deck, and then you play until half of those are gone, which is going to be 5 scenes?
Okay, so 5 scenes for the waxing bright phase.
I think.
Well, all right, so
I'm very bad at head math.
All right, so there's 30.
There's 52 cards in a full deck.
Numbered cards that you keep.
Yep.
And half of them goes to you, half of them goes to the other, so that's 18. So then you keep half, so you get 9 scenes.
So you have a potential of 9 scenes.
Right.
Okay. Then you move to the second phase, which uses face cards, the royal deck, called the royal deck.
Right.
Then you shuffle those 2, and you set it in easy reach of both players, and you play both of those. You play these 2 as scenes, and when both of you have drawn 2 kings, the phase is finished. Period.
Right. So it could be a single scene where you play 2 kings, because luck of the draw.
Yep.
And then that's when you label the start and end of your timeline, which is interesting. You get your intro phase of just figuring out what's going on, feeling out your connection between the 2 characters and their connection to the world. And then the second phase with the face cards, the full moon phase, is when you can actually put some details down on what's been happening.
Then for the ending, you basically mix up the 3 cards that you had originally set aside. You draw and play 2 of them, and then leave 1 set aside. As you play through it, you take that card that you set aside, you put it back with the half of the royal cards that were removed, I think, originally.
Yeah.
Yep. Then you shuffle those together, and then you use that new deck as a scene.
So you have mostly royal cards and then 2 numbered cards.
I believe that is correct.
Add a new phase 1 scene when you reach the new card. I love that. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and
so you get a flashback to the first phase, a phase 1 scene. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be a flashback, because they do mention earlier in the setting that, or not in the setting, or earlier in the material, that the timeline isn't exactly
it's like
a straight line. Yeah, it's a spiral.
It's microscopic and go forward.
Yeah. Neat. I like assigning intensity and basically prompt to the cards. I like this idea of using this to randomize your story. And I like that it also mixes up the formula. The first phase is, all right, it's pretty straightforward. Draw these cards, get to know each other. And then the second phase is, okay, now you're playing with these royal, the face cards. And then the final phase is you have all face cards except for your phase 1 card, which is a weird kind of an aside or a flashback or a bright spot or however it is that would fit into your story, which is great, honestly. That's really well paced.
Yeah, I find this a very cool and thematic and interesting pacing mechanic. Like, I'm very interested in rules that create pacing.
Yes, I am too.
And I think this does a pretty good job. I mean, we haven't played it yet. This is my assessment based on reading it.
Yeah, just from reading it.
Yeah, from reading it, I like
think
this.
I predict that we will be playing it, and we'll have something for an off season, because I do genuinely like this. I tend to kind of be nervous of games that are extremely sincere, because I don't know, using games to feel vulnerable feels. I don't like feeling vulnerable. I don't like being perceived all the time.
Because sincerity is hard.
Yeah. But when it's two players especially, it's like
it's very intimate.
A very intimate exchange.
Yeah.
An intimate exchange, Monica. So, playing cards to create scenes is the next header. We have a little bit of information on how to roll out the scene based on the card that you've drawn. You're also supposed to mark the card on the timeline with a dot or X where you think it happened, and note 3 words to represent the scene, which could be a location, a tone, a notable event, whatever. You also mark the location on the map as a dot with a label or a drawn representation, so like a little stick man or whatever. You indicate both the card suit and number, and whose perspective the scene like initiated with.
The game also then provides a bunch of themes for each phase.
Yes.
These include things like introductions, exploration, understanding, hunger, thirst, supernatural, the world.
And they're sort of between phases. Like there's a list of potential themes for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And then there's a little example afterwards. One of the play examples where it's like, oh, John is playing the man, and it rolls through this story with you. And the examples themselves are really beautiful and really well written. And it's honestly very, very sweet, because it talks about like the two players and then the characters and what the characters are doing. And at the end of the example of phase 1, it says Kim and John pause to reflect over the introduction of their characters and enjoy the quiet after the scene. Which is like, oh. There's not to drag it out to another like fucking Ghibli comparison, but I think a lot about Hayao Miyazaki talking about, in like, because someone is asking about like your movie seems so reflective and there's so much quietness, and a lot of Western movies would consider this empty space, and he was talking about like the pause between claps is just as important as the clap itself. You need to give a story and you need to give a scene and characters room to breathe, and you need that quiet. So I appreciate that Beau includes this in like the end of the phase of like, okay, they give themselves a moment to kind of reflect and enjoy the quiet after playing out this story.
Yeah. I also think that like it's supposed to be like the game is intentionally supposed to be reflective, and so it acknowledging that you should take a moment to reflect before moving on is good. So then there's also another set of suggestions for phase 2, which include things like connection, rediscovering, memories, magic, fear, change, regret, and so on. I'm not going to read all of them.
Yeah.
Go buy it.
and then phase 3 has like the end of story themes like tragedy, joy, cosmic. Then there's a little bit for closing.
Closing is the time where you reflect on the whole thing.
I skimmed closing too, because I was like, yeah, okay, end of the game. I really should have like spent more time like closely reading the text. Because it's not just, oh, reflect on it and talk about the game. It's also like you gather the cards, the played cards, you shuffle all the played cards together, and then you pull 6 cards, and using the map and the timeline that you've created, you review these 6 cards and reflect on the scenes that you played together using those cards. Then you mark each of those scenes on the timeline with a star, and you connect those stars together, and it makes like a constellation overlaying this map or timeline or whatever that you've created. And it's got this really cool closing about, this is the constellation the man joined no matter when he died. in the sky that the stag kept as his heart. We are all but stars. And it's like, oh shit, Beau. That's some poetic shit, Beau. Then the play sheet provided at the end here, very helpful. It comes with all of the themes that are recommended. It's like, here's where you display your decks. Here's where the discards go. Here's reminders on what the suits represent. This is just a really neat, a very, very simple, very heartfelt, a very, very intimate kind of a game. And it takes a long time to play. I wish we'd had some time before the review to play it so we could have a little more insight into like, oh yeah, this mechanic, in play it felt like this. But the best we have is the reading of it, which honestly I recommend. Even if you don't have the time to play it right now, I do recommend picking this up, just because the play examples and the flavor text in here is honestly really beautiful. And if you pick it up now, or even wait a couple of days or a week, there's going to be new art added compared to the version that I have because the crowdfunding campaign was apparently very successful, and some of the art that they have displayed on the itch.io page is really gorgeous. So this game is only going to get better as it goes on.
Yeah, I also thought the given examples were really pretty. Got a little misty at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I second everything that you said. Do we have any thoughts or critiques or anything that we would like to say as we wrap up our read?
I feel like a little bit more behind the scenes explanation of the cut, because we had to do the math like in our head, like on the fly, of like, okay, that means there'll be this many scenes. Okay, that means that this will happen during this phase. It doesn't really spell it out, which maybe that's intentional because it's meant to be something that you discover through play, because so much of this game is discovery through play. But I feel like a little more of an inside baseball, what am I trying to say? A little more of the clarity of why the mechanics are used could be helpful, even if it's just like a sentence or two. But honestly, that is such a small critique of this, because it's very well formed. This is a really nice little art game, kind of a poetry game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. That maybe I could just say this deck should contain X number of cards. Like that's it. Like
yeah, you will play this many scenes.
Right. That a number on that so that we know we've split everything up correctly would be just kind of helpful.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed is that phase 2 could be very short, depending on your random chance, which I feel like is intentional.
Yeah. I don't think I mind that.
Yeah, I don't think I mind that either. I just was like, oh,
because the odds of both of you drawing your king immediately are so slim.
I was like, are they though? But whatever. It just, the second phase could be short. That seems intentional. So right. I don't want to be like, I don't think you thought about this, because I'm certain that they did.
So that's The Man and the Stag by Beau Jagr Sheldon. If you're interested, please go get a copy.
Yeah,
it's
please.
Briebo.itch.io. It's BRIEBEAU.itch.io.
We will link it on our Misdirected Mark post, and
it's $10.
Yes, there will be a link in the notes.
But it's $10. But they also offer community copies for members of the marginalized community, including low-income individuals. And if you don't fit that description, but you do love that they're offering community copies and want to help, they also have a community copies donation button, so you can just donate to the community copies pool.
We should do
which
that.
Which is great. Yeah,
we should do that.
I think we should do that.
Yeah, every time, whenever we read these, if we do something on Itch, because frequently they will have community copies donation available, we should donate to that.
Yeah. So yeah, please go get it. If you do, let us know what you thought of it. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, whatever. Monica and I will probably be playing this at some point later. I might need to be a little bit drunk first, if that's okay.
I mean, I feel like the same, but if we do that, it might get silly.
I don't know. No, I can get silly, but I'm trauma, just gotta blast through that trauma wall with a little bit of rum. Are we gonna do our end episode break? How does this work?
Yeah, we'll do our end of episode wrap up. I guess.
Okay.
I guess because it's basically the mid episode break because we didn't want to interrupt our flow. I wanted to talk about this all as one thought. Anyway, BXP is brought to you by the Misdirected Mark Network.
Bing.
Become a BXP patron. Patrons get to chat with us directly. They get special Discord roles. They have a whole channel where they can harass us into adding emoji.
Yes, that's a new thing we added because originally anyone could add emoji, and then the Zoomers arrived, and they've ruined the emoji economy. Not the economy, the emoji ecology. They've put invasive memes all over in our emoji. So now the emoji is locked, but
patrons can suggest them.
Patrons can suggest new emoji. Otherwise, it'd just be lousy with Among Us memes. Fucking youth.
And we will be doing exclusive hangouts, and also, of course, you can suggest new games for us to play.
Yes. Yes.
I would also like to throw out here that at $20 a month, we'll make you a terrible Margaret certificate.
Yes, it's still available.
It's still available.
Strangely, no takers.
It will be bad. We will not do a good job on purpose. Hopefully you laugh at it and that you print it off and hang it up on your refrigerator. You can support us for as little as $1 a month, and we appreciate all donations.
Hey, if you don't like Patreon for whatever reason, if you don't want to commit to monthly payments, but you still want to support us, you can still buy us a coffee at ko-fi, which is pronounced Ko-fi. I don't know why I have to say coffee. ko-fi.com/bonusexp, which is like, a one-time throw us some cash. Or you can buy our stuff. We have stuff.
If you go to bxpcast.com/bxpswag, we have a merch page. That page has like our drive-thru RPG affiliate code, which gives us a tiny bit of money whenever you buy them, and a whole list that is currently out of date of all the stuff that Ray and I have worked on that you can buy off of drive-thru RPG with an affiliate code and support us and our continued freelance employment. We are sponsored by Nerdy Kepi, and we are going to have a Nerdy Kepi exclusive BXP merch page. You can get all kinds of rad queer swag, and also some really, really cool BXP stuff.
God, I'm so excited.
I have samples.
I'm gonna have so many mugs.
I have samples of the things coming, because Spider was like, I don't sell these things on my store, so I don't know if they're good.
Oh, we're gonna be the only ones with like fidget spinners and shit.
Yeah. Remember to use code BXPcast at checkout for 10% off, and it never expires, so you can buy yourself 25 different fidget spinners.
Yep. Individually.
We don't have that many different designs, but...
I mean, hand them out to your friends. Throw them like frisbees. Throw them like a little shuriken. Also, saying nice things, always free. You could leave us a good review on Apple Podcasts, on Podbean, on Google, on
Spotify.
Wherever. It helps us get more listeners. We've even had a couple people in our Discord talk about how they chat about us in their Discords.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is great. Cultural transmission.
Yeah, you don't have to just leave a good review on places, though that does help strangers find us. The more good reviews we have, just tell your friends. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Also, if you like bonus experience, you'll like Mastering Dungeons. This is new. I don't remember Mastering Dungeons.
I guess there's a rebrand of Down with D&D.
Oh, okay. Got it.
RPG veterans and game designers Teos Abadia and Sean Merwin look at the game and the hobby of D&D from a variety of viewpoints, reporting the news, understanding the business, reviewing the products, and illuminating the design.
Uh-oh.
Whether you're a fan, a player, a DM, or a designer, Sean and Teos cover topics of interest to you, which sounds like a thing that BXP fans would really like.
Yeah, honestly. So you can find us at bxpcast.com. I know for a fact that's the correct URL.
That is the correct URL, yes.
You can email us at bonusexpcast@gmail.com. We check that email.
We do.
That's a true statement. I'm not going to put any sort of temporal limit on it. We do check that email. You can also tweet at us, tweet at us. That's such a... Use this on the Twitter. It's at bonusexpcast on Twitter.
You're doing great.
Oh, thank you. I have to go through and fix that stupid if this then that plugin I have, because it's been like a year and the image never works and it looks so fucking ugly. And every time I'm like, oops, gotta fix it. And then I don't fucking fix it. Just a hot mess. Just a hot fucking mess. I'm Ray W. Cole on Twitter if you want to fucking yell at me for not fixing the if this then that plugin on bonus XP's Twitter.
You can follow me. I'm at Zenith Sun. You can yell at me all you want about broken links, but I don't care.
Monica doesn't give a shit. That's not Monica's purview.
I maintain the Discord. That's my job.
And you're doing great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You installed a bot?
I did.
I'm so proud of you. A whole bot. We have a whole ass bot on our server.
We do.
That's how popular it's gotten.
We have a whole ass bot where you can assign yourselves roles because I was tired of doing it for people.
And again, like on the fucking honor system.
Yeah.
Because we're still small enough that we can get away with that.
Yep.
Why does Patreon fuck up the role assignment in Discord? Is that us or is that Patreon?
It's Patreon. It's not us.
Right. Well, anyway, everybody get out.
Yeah, let's go. It's lunchtime.
You can change it if you want to.
Got a weird email I gotta answer. All right. Yeah, we should do that. Change it if you want to, and don't break it if it's not broken.
I was really hoping you'd forgotten. God damn it.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Both of our catchphrases are things that I've said and gone, that won't do it. And you go, ha, I love it.
Do I have to do this? Ugh, fine. Bonus Experience is written and produced by Monica and Ray, and edited by Margaret. Our logo and art is by Nino Studios. Find her on Facebook and Instagram. Our theme song is Reused Noise with the Light by CDK, and is used under the Attribution Non-Commercial Creative Commons license. BXP is part of the Misdirected Mart Network. I'm not reading this. Fuck it. Bye.